Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy Stroer. I am the author of the novel Playing Army, which is about women in the Army in 1995, based an awful lot on my own experiences in the military. I'm going to read you a story called Dirtbag Lieutenant. Consider the young lieutenant, the staff duty officer, tasked with sitting watch in a plain blonde office in the headquarters building of Aberdeen Proving Ground, the night of 17 October 1989. The runner, an enlisted kid, will run, fetch, whichever commander he might be required in an emergency. But emergencies are pretty thin on the ground in this corner of rural Maryland. The runner sleeps in an interior office. It's not that late. The fall sunlight is only just fading through the somewhat grimy upstairs windows. But enlisted kids are a notoriously sleepy bunch, and the young lieutenant is looking forward to having the softness of the night to herself. It's not that she hasn't been enjoying the 4-month leadership course. She's reveling in it, in fact. But all the fun and frolicking wears the newly commissioned out as well. She feels the need to wallow in the dirty window glow of the government beige office alone. Dutifully, she tears a sheet of paper from a nearby notepad. From the desk of the post commander, it says across the top. Dear Aviator, she writes. Her handwriting is friendly. Forward-leaning but not curly. She does not dot the I with a heart. Sitting staff duty and looking forward to not drinking with everyone around the pool tonight. The carousing is fun, but it'll be nice to be quiet for a while, to decompress. I'm planning to turn the ball game on in a minute. This week we're rebuilding Jeep engines. First we're tearing them down, and we only pass the task if they start up after the rebuild. I'm in a team of 4 female lieutenants, and I think we'll finish first, since we're actually reading and following the instructions and asking questions. This skill set, not the turning of wrenches, might be what ultimately makes us good maintenance officers. The guys are mostly clowning around and breaking things and acting like none of it matters, which I guess it doesn't really, since it's not work we'll have to do when we get to our units. The instructors must love watching a bunch of recent history and psychology majors try to use the humanities to outsmart internal combustion engines. The young lieutenant pauses to consider a particular history major, the one with the sleepy brown eyes and southern drawl to match, the one who calls her buddy and who worships the ground she stomps in her shiny jump boots. In contrast, the aviator would never befriend a hippie, he declared back in their college days. He could look at a hippie and know they would never have anything in common. For her last birthday, the aviator had bought her a ladylike gold wristwatch to replace the punky red plastic one she preferred. He couldn't spend even 15 minutes with her on her birthday because he was cramming for a Latin final after neglecting the course all semester. In a few years, the young lieutenant and her friend Robbie, a Navy chief, will hold a bonfire to destroy all the gifts they've been given, which came entangled with strings. The young lieutenant will first smash and then burn the gold wristwatch. Now, though, she's keeping time with the historian, and she doesn't yet know how she'll destroy the aviator's golden timepiece in a few years, as she writes to him on that golden autumn evening. She tells the aviator about the trips down to the inner harbor and up to Gettysburg. She tells him about the trip to Rehoboth her whole maintenance officer class took after a field exercise, unfurling the sleeping bags still in the trunks of their new lieutenant cars right onto the beach. She doesn't mention that her sleeping bag was next to the historian's. She doesn't mention, because she's only barely aware, how she feels about the peaceful protests happening in Hungary, East Germany, the Baltic states. How 2 million people, sporting crispy perms and last season's knockoff acid-wash jeans, choking on the secondhand smoke of Soviet cigarettes, in the shade of cinder block architecture, joined hands in the world's longest human chain back in August. How that peaceful chain has somehow unlocked the chain-link fence between Hungary and Austria, and guards are looking the other way as Eastern Europeans drain through. She should be reflecting on how this will affect her future job in West Germany, which she thinks will be putting a finger in the dike of the Fulda Gap to keep the Russians from pouring through, but will in fact become dismantling the military presence the U.S. has built over 4 decades of Cold War. But she's stateside and blissfully unaware of all that, preoccupied as she is with being in the Army, with having money in her pocket for the first time, with the keys to her new Cutlass jingling in the same BDU pocket, and a load of similarly flush and playful lieutenants to spend all day in the classroom with, and all afternoon and evening with around the pool at the Holiday Inn. She is having the time of her life. She is not thinking about world politics or the fact that she is a conniving little cheater. She's feeling unencumbered, and the Army is bankrolling it. Why, after all those years in the Ivy League trenches, would she not drink and carouse and bask in the admiring glances of sleepy brown eyes? Is it more honorable to engage with the world at all times? Or does it do more for a soul to connect with joy in each moment of its own lifetime? Do we flip and flop from one state of being to the other? Or are there people only stuck in one or the other? Or are there miraculous souls that coexist in all planes simultaneously? The young lieutenant has only ever been the kind of person who eats one thing at a time on her plate. Not a bite of this, a bite of that. First your vegetables, and then that leg of chicken. Right now, it's dessert time, baby. She puts down her pen and stares out the window at the training post. The light has gone, and it's boring and bleak out there on Aberdeen Proving Ground. Nobody gives prime real estate to weapons testers, which is what happens at a proving ground. Weapons and people get tested. She listens for the rustling of the duty runner on the creaky army cot next door, but there's no peep from the inner office. She doesn't have anything else to say to the aviator. Probably the less said, the better. She reaches over to the TV. She's not much of a TV person, but this is a time before handheld games, but after required college reading lists, but before she's reclaimed her love of books. She does love baseball, though, and Game 3 of the World Series is about to start. The crosstown rivalry in San Francisco between the Giants and the Oakland A's. Instead of an infield warm-up at Candlestick Park, the screen flashes to the Nimitz Freeway, levels collapsed on top of each other, pancaking cars between them. Instead of the opening pitch, an earthquake, Al Michaels is saying. So sudden, this pitching up of the core of the earth beneath the bay. So long, the evolution of power from Cold War to peaceful, person-led reclaiming of power, holding hands across Eastern European borders. So surprising and uncharacteristic, her inclination to grab momentary pleasure without worrying about the fallout. So sudden, the dropping of thousands of tons of concrete onto the roofs of cars. Her selfishness has not caused any of this, but 1,000 tons of concrete flattens her heart just like that, and she cannot quite catch her breath. She turns off the television, not because she's too callous to care about world-shaking events, but because they're too intense to bear.